What have you guys been planning?
Equity, mate!
I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.
Equity.
Buckle up and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Shares Journey, the podcast that chronicles our exciting voyage into the world of investments. From those of you who are just dipping your toes into the financial waters to those sailing close to the Warren Buffett wind, our goal is to smash those investing obstacles and guide you from your first stock purchase to collecting dividends. To our first-time listeners, a hearty hello and welcome aboard. We should note, while we are certified financial navigators, we are not privy to your personal treasure map. Hence, any information shared here serves two purposes: to entertain and offer general advice only. Enjoy the journey, me hearties. As always, I'm joined by my pirate buddy, Ren. How's it going?
Oh my God.
Wow. What a
Oh my God. Sorry, bro. We weren't recording. You have to do that again.
No. What was the theme?
So I'm here with my good mate ChatGPT.
Yes.
Well, I'm guessing pirate themed.
I think so. Is that right, Sasha?
Do you know what? I just chucked it in to my ChatGPT, so maybe after the countless months.
What did you chuck it in and ask it to do?
I said, can you please rewrite Bryce's intro and just make it. Hang on, let me actually read.
It must have been pirate.
It's not. You didn't ask it to just spell check it.
I said, can you try something different?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. And it's gone.
No, so I've asked it quite a few questions. I said, can you rewrite this podcast intro for me? First one was boring. Decided nah, don't want that. Then I said, can you make it more fun? And then I said, can you try something different? So down that track lies pirates.
There we go.
Right.
So for those that are really confused with what's going on, welcome to Equity Mates. If you've just joined us for the first time, congratulations on starting your journey. Ren is my co-host here, and we've just done the intro in pirate theme.
It's contextually relevant for what we're talking about today, because
yes.
we're talking about AI, and obviously there's a lot of hype when it comes to investing in AI. There's a potentially a better way to think about it, a different way to think about it that we've sort of heard from a couple of experts that we wanted to really bring to the fore and chat about, because you don't just have to invest in the companies making these AI chatbots. But before we get into that, probably two things. First of all is we should just clarify the disclaimer, because I'm not sure a pirate-themed disclaimer passes ASIC's
If you're not privy
muster.
to our personal treasure map, yes. We are licensed.
It was also we are...
certified financial navigators.
Yeah. So...
We are licensed, but we are not aware of your personal circumstances. So any information on this show is for education and entertainment purposes only. Any advice is general advice.
And the other bit of housekeeping that we just want to quickly share, you probably have heard it on the podcast or maybe seen it on social media, is we wrote a second book, and all we did was copy the manuscript for our first book and ask ChatGPT to make it pirate themed.
Hold on.
So, no, this book, we know that there's a lot of stress when it comes to money at the moment, and a lot of people, ourselves included, sort of wonder what is enough when it comes to investing. It can be very hard. When you start investing, you always feel like you've got to do more. You've got to find a way to make more returns, find the next company, save more so you can invest more. And we really got stuck on this idea of what is enough when it comes to investing. So we wrote a book about it. It's called Don't Stress, Just Invest, and it is available for pre-order now. The link is in the show notes. It'll be available wherever books are sold on the 22nd of August. But if you could pre-order it now, we'd love that. We hope it helps. Anything more to add?
No, just buy one for a friend or family member who's feeling anxious or unsure about how to start investing, because guaranteed this will give them the confidence and the steps to start in a way that is less stressful.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed, yeah. Money back guarantee.
From Bryce.
From your paycheck.
All right, so anyway, let's talk AI, me hearty.
Nice. Okay, I'm feeling this.
Now, I guess the question is, are you going to continue this thing? ChatGPT alternative intro? Like next week, are we going to get like a Yankee theme?
For episodes that aren't yet recorded, I think it's something that we could refine and bring into it. Yes.
True. That's actually...
What I would say is that it would probably have been better if I tried to do a pirate accent as well.
Do one now.
No.
I don't think pirates have like pirates could be from anywhere.
Bro, have you not watched Pirates of the Caribbean? They have accents.
But that's not all pirates.
For a guy who was saying that
Do you know what I'm saying,
you're,
Sasha?
You're getting awfully carried away with this. Just leave it to me, Sasha. We'll
Well, look, all I'm saying is we've done about 750 episodes of Equity Mates Investing podcast, another 300 of Get Started Investing. I've heard your intros a lot.
Yes.
And it's kind of nice for you to bring some variety to our relationship after all this time.
I think we shouldn't get stuck in the pirate lane. We could go...
Let's not get stuck in the pirate
lane. We could go to alternate universes as well.
No one is saying we're doing the pirate lane now. I was
where
wanting,
the wind takes thee. Maybe we'll do Shakespeare next.
Yeah, there you go. It's Shakespeare, Southern American.
All right, so, deal. For the episodes that haven't yet had a recorded intro, I will commit working with Sasha, our producer, to come up with some ChatGPT-led thematic intros.
Yeah, well, you're actually not involved in a lot of episodes in the coming weeks, so
Great.
It'll actually be when you're back.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, anyway, let's get into it. AI, because if we keep waffling on like this, AI will take our jobs. So I think let's start with what we've been hearing from a couple of experts. I sat down with Andrew Page and he said something like this, and the You're in Good Company podcast interviewed Cathie Wood of ARK Invest.
Massive.
And she said something similar. We'll play the clips, but in a nutshell, forget the companies that make AI. Even for Cathie, forget the companies that make the picks and shovels for AI.
Yeah.
Forget NVIDIA. They sold NVIDIA.
Yeah, mind you, she sold it after getting in at $5.
Yeah, and for people not familiar with its current share price,
400 and something, I think, or high 300s.
Yeah, 420.
420. So she got in at 5.
Yeah, they did all right.
They did all right.
What's that?
Pretty crazy.
Like 80-something X return.
When I actually listened to her saying that, it was like, wow, that was in 2014 she bought. And the thesis, I'd love to go back and understand what she said was the thesis at that point in time. But like that is... that's pretty incredible. It makes you kind of think like, what she's talking about, the companies she's buying now, next 10 years, what's that going to be?
Yeah, well, if you want to know the companies she's talking about now, head over to the You're in Good Company podcast because they have a 2-part interview with her on their feed. But I guess the point was forget the companies that are making these chatbots like Microsoft, OpenAI, and you can invest in that via Microsoft, or Google with Bard. Even the picks and shovels play like NVIDIA, arguably, a lot of money has flowed into that space. There is another thesis that you can hold when it comes to AI, and it's all about data. Because the thing that AI has allowed everyone to do is just crunch data at speeds and at scales that haven't been possible before. And there are really interesting emerging use cases as a result. And so rather than us explaining it, let's let some experts explain it, starting with Andrew Page.
I'm really bullish AI. I mean, this is amazing technology. And even since ChatGPT 3 came out, like we've seen the evolution, like just so rapid here. So I think it's huge, right? I think as a sector, I think we've crossed the chasm a little bit from what is theoretically possible to actually having workable demos and beyond demos of it actually happening. So there's legitimacy to it, but people jump on bandwagons really quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of companies we've come across are talking about it more. I think one insight that's worth remembering is that it's not that these small ASX companies need to develop the AI, is that this is plug and play technology where to a large extent you're not developing the large language models, but you're applying them in much the same way that these companies didn't invent the internet back at the turn of the century, but used it. So I think a lot of companies will be using it, should be using it. Like just competitively, you're going to be at a disadvantage. I'm talking about over a period of years here, right? So there is legitimacy to it, but the question you've got to ask is that what edge does this give you? And from that angle, my hot take is that companies best able to leverage it in a way more so than their competitors are those that have proprietary data sets. Anyone can point an AI at a set of data if it's public, and we can all extract useful information from that, or at least that's the potential. But if I'm Volpara and I own all the breast imaging images data, if I'm Catapult and I own all the sports analytics data, if I'm EnviroSuite and I own all, it actually, I can use it as much as anyone else can, but as we know with AI, a key part of it is the data set that you can train it on and then extract it from.
Makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. I think the key, obviously, is the proprietary bit. It's not companies that just have access to publicly available data and can crunch it. It's those companies that own a huge amount of data is the key here. And we'll get to some of the companies in a moment. But before we do that, let's have a listen to what Cathie's views are on this.
NVIDIA is doing astonishing things. We got in at $5. It was a $5 to $10 billion market cap in 2014, and we've ridden it all the way up. In most of the funds, we took it out of flagship because flagship's very concentrated, and we see many other much less expensive AI plays. It still meets our 15% compound annual rate of return expectation, but barely. Whereas these others are, now, again, our research could be wrong. I always have to say that for compliance, but these other names we think are 40, 50% compound annual rate of, because they've been killed as NVIDIA's gone up. Doesn't make any sense to us. To give you an example, Tesla. So NVIDIA is at 25 times sales, not earnings, sales. Tesla is at 6 times sales. Twilio, many people don't know the name, is at 2 times sales. The most important competitive advantage, once you've got a visionary leader, AI expertise, and domain expertise, is proprietary data. And so you'll see every company in our portfolio is there, at least in part, with an AI angle in mind. It is their data. Tesla has
the new oil.
That's right, and it's becoming even more true. That has been a saying for a little while, but it's ever more true now. So Tesla has more miles of real-world driving data than all of the auto companies and tech companies going after transportation in the world put together, and probably orders of magnitude more. And that's because it has 4 million plus robots roaming around the world. I have 2 of them, a Model 3 and a Model Y. And they're collecting data every day, sending it back to Tesla saying, okay, here's a disengagement, something didn't go right, let's study that. And they're using AI in a profound way that is going to create autonomous driving.
So, Bryce, I think that's one example of this data thesis. And I think at its core, it's the functionality of AI, at least in this thesis's view, is going to be a commodity.
Yes.
Like maybe someone will produce a chatbot that doesn't get things wrong, because I'll tell you what, the amount of things that I'm finding Google Bard especially getting wrong is pretty wild.
I'm the same. Some really direct questions it nails, like who won the premiership in 2022. You can get that. That's just a Google search.
Yeah.
But like,
that's carved into my mind forever. I'll never forget that.
Sorry. But like when it tries to do a ChatGPT vibe and kind of synthesize a whole bunch of information and present it back, half the time I've found that it is wrong.
Yeah.
It's strange.
This morning I know this chart exists somewhere. It's a chart that shows the different stock markets that outperformed in each decade. And like the point of the chart shows that it's very rare for countries to outperform decade after decade. And I've seen it. I can explain it to you what it looks like, but I couldn't find it. I spent like 20 minutes on Google trying to find it for an episode to Get Started Investing we're about to record. And then I was like, maybe AI will be able to help me here. Went to ask Google to find me the website. Google Bard couldn't find me the website. Gave me a whole bunch of options which were wrong. Then I just decided, all right, well, these guys have been trained on data. Bard has access to the internet. ChatGPT has data up to 2019 or 2021. these guys can just tell me the information and I can recreate it. They both were just wildly wrong. ChatGPT couldn't tell me. It just was like, I don't have that information. I was like, what was the best performing stock market between 1900 and 1910? Didn't have that information. Google Bard just kept telling me it was America for every decade. Which
serious bias.
Not correct. So anyway, back to the AI point. Maybe someone develops a chatbot that is just exponentially better, but like that doesn't feel like the path we're going down. So you could have a picks and shovels play, invest in NVIDIA, or you say what companies have data that will benefit from the power of these.
Yeah, and by benefit we mean like their business operations. They're going to become more competitively or more competitive, or their competitive advantage is going to become more powerful. Like their business then is versus their competitors.
Yeah,
their ability to grow,
like
leverage that data. Like
Cathie's example is a classic example. There's all these companies fighting to be the first to get true self-driving. And she believes that the amount of data that Tesla has been collecting gives it an unfair advantage over its competitors.
Yeah. So this got us thinking, which companies have heaps and heaps of proprietary data?
Any out of left field companies that we can talk about?
Yeah. Well, there are the obvious. There's all of the social media companies, Meta, ByteDance, Twitter.
Yeah, they
you
have
name
a
it.
portfolio of human interaction which is unrivaled.
Yeah.
And Elon, the amount of strategic mistakes. Well, I don't know if they're going to be mistakes in hindsight, but have you seen what he's doing in Twitter?
He's limiting how many posts people can see.
Yeah, because he's worried about it being scraped.
Yeah.
It's like, mate. Anyway.
Yeah, why does he care if it's scraped? That's what the bit I've kind of haven't researched.
Because, like, for this exact thesis,
he wants data protection.
The data of like different interactions in Twitter and all of like everything that they are collecting is proprietary. Is an advantage for Twitter if they're the only ones that are analyzing it. But if researchers can just scrape Twitter data and do their own research without paying Twitter, then he feels like he's being stolen.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but like, come on.
Part of me is like, let them scrape, but have ads. And then all these AI impressions count as ads, ad impressions.
Oh yeah, the advertisers will love that.
I don't need to know.
So I've got all the social media. Obviously, we know Google
We do know Google
has a massive amount of data.
Yeah, in particular, search data. Like, imagine the amount of insight you can gain on what humans are doing and thinking. You overlay that with like different events, and then you track search data. So much insight. Yeah.
And then there's the devices side, like the Apples of the world, and what they know about us is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Reams of data.
Just one data point. Like, imagine Apple pointing AI towards the GPS data they have on hundreds of millions of iPhone users.
Nuts.
Hopefully they don't look at yours.
Mine's fine. To and from work every day. But that's the obvious one. So we've been sitting here and having a think about what are the companies that have pretty interesting data sets that they can train AI. So before we do that, we're going to take a very quick break and then get back into it. Welcome back to Equity Mates, me Hardies. We are discussing AI and, more importantly, companies that have large proprietary data sets and how they might be able to leverage AI to develop a strong competitive advantage. Now, we've heard Cathie talk about Tesla and how it can leverage all of the driving data to get an advantage in true self-driving. We've heard Andrew Page talk about Volpara and the breast imaging data that it gets. Ren, let's go through our list of just companies that we think have huge amounts of data that if they can plug in AI will potentially be able to zhuzh up their business.
So here's an interesting one. I think it's interesting. I don't want to bias the jury. Match Group. And also Bumble and Grindr all publicly listed, but Match Group is the biggest. So Match Group owns Match.com, Tinder, Hinge, and about 40, I think they own 42 dating platforms in total. The volume of human interaction is staggering when you think about it. Like every swipe, every message, every rose purchased, and every super like, and all of that stuff. Imagine if you could point AI at that and you start getting insights around, and I'm sure they already do. I'm sure there's a lot of algorithms that decide who's getting shown to who and all of that stuff. But just like how predictive AI could be in terms of love.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that to your point, like...
They would already have it. They would already be working on it for sure.
Working on it in the background.
Yeah.
But it could get to the point where just the first person that you get fed is the perfect person.
They launch an
like,
app where there's only one match ever. And maybe it's like
That's
we
bad
don't...
for them though. You'd have to pay, and they charge a fortune.
$1 million.
Yeah. People pay for love.
Maybe you open the app and if they haven't found the perfect one, it's just like, it's still looking. You know,
True.
like,
Yeah. Your time's not now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was like on Tinder, there would be times where the AI knows it's serving up subpar matches, but it's like, hey, the game is to just keep serving people
volume,
up.
Volume.
Yeah.
But then they changed the model to be like we will guarantee the first person we show you is the one, but you got to pay for it.
$1 million subscription with a money back guarantee if you don't get married.
They wouldn't need a money back guarantee with the AI.
All right, that's one for me. What about you? You got any?
Yeah, so obviously we both worked at Woolies and Coles, and this was going on. I wouldn't say it was an issue. Obviously, the reams of data on customers that both of those retailers have through their rewards programs, through every single product that is scanned through checkout, through their websites, through all the other businesses that they have going on, credit cards, insurances, everything. Just the picture that they can paint of their customers is enormous. And I know when I was working at Woolies, 8 years ago or so, that there was a general feeling that there was almost like there is so much data we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Like, how do we even hire the right people and build systems that? And this is no like indictment on the people working there, but it was just so much data. It's like, how do we even leverage this? And so Woolies ended up buying half of Quantium, which was just a data analytics company. And I think now they own a majority shareholder. Or maybe they buy the whole thing. Yeah. Purely so that they had this company just crunching data and trying to deliver insights. And so you can see how if they can, really leverage AI, the level of detail and mapping of customers and exactly what you want, when you're going to want it, how you're going to buy it, like it become pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think Woolies now owns 75% of it, and founders and employees own the other 25.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, given that between them, they pretty much have half the population each. Millions and millions of people shopping. Yeah,
and I think you can probably bucket the credit card companies and the banks into this as well, like just customer data and the insights you can gain. I think the other interesting one for Woolies and Coles is they have like other data sources that you probably don't think that much about, but one that I often think about is CCTV.
Okay.
Because AI has now reached human-level object recognition. I think in some tests it's actually better than humans at recognizing objects. So AI, in theory, AI could be trained on video or images and analyze it and draw insights from it. It doesn't just have to be text. And so Woolies has, 1,000 and something supermarkets, and hopefully they're saving all that CCTV. I don't know where it's big cloud storage bill, but but all of a sudden it's like, how are customers moving through our stores? What's catching their eyes? Shelf heights, spacing of aisles, all of that stuff. And all of a sudden you say, AI, I've got 1,000 supermarkets, all slightly constructed differently. what insights can I draw? And also
Perfect floor plan.
What experiments can I run? Like, let's A/B test different levels of lighting. Does that thing where they like mist water onto the fruit and veg, how much does that increase sales? And, and then you can start dividing by demographic, and you can overlay like socioeconomic factors over this stuff. And you can look at how humans are actually moving through stores in different parts of the country and stuff like that.
So again, I think for people sitting there going, oh, but you can do all that now. You can do that now, one of the roles that I was doing at Woolies was all of that store format sort of strategy and thinking through like floor plan design and that sort of stuff. But it's the power of the AI comes in the analysis of it.
I think every single thing that we're going to talk about today that applies for.
Yeah.
It's artificial intelligence. Intelligence exists. It's just time consuming and expensive.
Yeah, or near impossible.
And the given it enough money and enough time, at some point over the course of history, self-driving cars will be developed. But the beauty of what Cathie Wood is arguing is that AI accelerates that for Tesla. Pun intended.
What else?
So for me, a really interesting one is the pharmaceutical space. So the Pfizer, Eli Lilly, AstraZeneca, Merck, Johnson & Johnson, the volume of data they have from clinical trials, and in particular failed clinical trials, is immense. And, humans have been poring over that data and trying to figure out what went wrong, or, are there any possible, second avenues? The classic example is Viagra was not... They didn't set out to make an erection pill. It was for something, heart disease or something, and they did the clinical trial and there was this side effect and they were like, this is a multi-billion-dollar drug. What could AI, going back over all that data, find that humans missed? So that's a really interesting one. But also AI drug discovery going forward is a really interesting one. And this is less about proprietary data, but I'm just finding a way to shoehorn it in because it's so interesting to talk about. There have been some new drugs discovered by AI, and it's just like AI is given ungodly amounts of data to crunch. A new antibiotic was found, and I think quite a powerful antibiotic was found by AI. Google have launched isomorphic labs, which is using AI to search for new treatments. And I think if you combine the computing power of AI with all of the data that these pharmaceutical companies already have, it will be a pretty powerful combination.
Very powerful. It's pretty exciting to see that we're right in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing time to be alive. Anyway, one for me, Ren, is in sports. Now, there's not specific companies that I think Catapult might be one here in Australia, but
that they will be the biggest.
Well, it's also combining all the sports that if you talk about AFL, for example, but it would apply everywhere. What's the company that crunches the game data?
Champion data. So you combine that with the player data, with nutrition, and all of a sudden the teams can start painting this picture of, you had 25 handballs and you ran this far, and I don't know what it could end to be, but the perfect player optimization or perfect super coach strategy.
Yeah, I don't know, what the outcome would be, but they're always trying to optimize for fitness and, the right players on at the right time and all that sort of stuff. So I think if the volume of data that's out there in sports they all wear GPS, they all... it's pretty data-driven at the moment. All the teams have game analysts. If you're plugging in all the video footage of all the games into AI and telling it to analyze the perfect plays and all that sort of stuff, you can see it becoming quite powerful.
The fascinating thing for me is how much, sport has become so analyzed. And, in every sport, analytics has really taken off. Obviously, the Oakland A's were big with this whole Moneyball strategy of analytics. We're seeing it really sort of take off in the NFL with some teams, and strategy is really determined by analytics in some cases. And it would be happening more and more in every sport. But for me, the question is with this stuff, will we at some point realize there's a limit to it, and you can't analyze your way to a perfect team? And it's at some point it's just human
Yeah,
like
definitely.
ingenuity to
Yeah.
just do it, or like to will yourself to the next
Yeah,
contest and
absolutely.
stuff like that. Yeah.
But it'll tell you the right people to put in those positions to give yourself the best chance.
But I guess, like, can you measure that? Can you measure, like, someone being clutch?
Yes, 100%.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Like, the potential to be clutch.
Yeah, it's like, what are the characteristics of all the people that were clutch and across the last 100 years of football?
maybe it's like analysing
What are
their
the characteristics?
upbringings
Exactly.
to understand their mental fortitude.
Did they have, what food did they eat beforehand?
Understanding, like, maybe you sequence their genome and you understand that, like, these genes lead to being more
Yes.
clutch.
Anyway, all right, let's get through a couple of others.
I think there's a couple of obvious ones. So airlines, pricing and stuff like that,
Yep.
optimizing for price, figuring out who is going to pay what. McKinsey did a big paper. We can include it in the show notes if people want to read it. It's called Notes from the AI Frontier. They say they've spoken to hundreds of companies and analyzed it. They never actually include any of the companies. It's always... Anyway, it's
Proprietary data.
Yeah. True. McKinsey and Bain and those guys.
Yeah.
Imagine how much data. But
I
it's
don't
probably
think
not their data.
Yeah.
Anyway, they looked at all these different industries and asked, where does the analytical power of AI, where will it add the most value? And travel massively over-index. They reckon it'll more than double the, I guess, revenue in the travel industry. So travel was number one, transport and logistics number two. And transport and logistics, you can sort of understand route optimization, making sure every ship, plane, truck is full, and then it's full with the right stuff to minimize costs on the other end and all of that stuff. And then one more, Bryce, as we close it out, I think we need to mention agriculture.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about this company before, but I think this is the company to watch in this space. It's not necessarily going to be a great investment, but it's the one to watch if you're interested in this space, is Deere.
Yeah. We've spoken about it a couple of times on the show, but they're already using AI and, well, kind of Internet of Things, plugging up and using technology to optimize farming.
Yep.
And as I guess they can, if they start plugging in AI, take that to the whole new level.
Yeah, so right now they are really focused on collecting heaps of data and delivering that to farmers. You know, soil, moisture content, humidity of the air, presence of pests, how much fertilizer you need to spray, all of the stuff, like analyzing nutrients in the soil, all of that stuff. They're also trying to develop self-driving tractors, but even if they don't have self-driving tractors, they're still collecting data on traditionally driven tractors as they're driving around a field. All of that data gets sucked into their platform, and then it tries to deliver insights to farmers. But for Deere, they're sucking all that data from farms globally and season after season after season. And that bank of data, as more of these sensors and stuff get rolled out, because it's still early days for this whole story, what insights that will yield will be really interesting.
Yeah, it's
yield,
fascinating.
Also pun intended.
Nice. Well, I think I guess the point of this is that AI is certainly opening up a lot of investment opportunities. It's getting a lot of people excited. There are the obvious plays, which we said at the top of the episode, which is investing in the AI companies. Then there's the picks and shovels. But, you know, you can really see how this opens up opportunities for companies with such large volumes of data that traditionally, you know, they've had that data there and have been trying to optimize it and use it and gain competitive advantage. But AI is only going to improve their ability to do that. So fascinating space, really exciting time. You know, no wonder it's creating such hype and companies are out there raising at ridiculous valuations. So, yeah.
Can I tell you one story about a AI startup before we leave that I think sort of illustrates the point? It illustrates why NVIDIA is getting such a high valuation. There's a startup called Inflection.
Okay.
Important L there. Heard of it?
I don't think so.
So they raised a $1.3 billion funding round.
I did see this.
Yeah, they're like a early stage company. I think the team behind it are pretty good, but they raise money from Microsoft and NVIDIA and a whole bunch of other companies. 1.3 billion. There was some back of the envelope maths done on a podcast I was listening to, and they reckon 900 million of that 1.3 billion is going to need to go basically back to NVIDIA to buy GPUs to build the compute power to build the startup.
It's crazy.
I think NVIDIA GPU, $30,000 off the shelf, but there's such a backlog if you want to buy it in the secondary market, about 45 grand. And so all of these startups, there was a generation of SaaS startups, like software as a service startups, that VCs used to complain that they would fund them and then all that money would just go to Google and Facebook in ads. And people got really annoyed at that. There's this generation of AI startups. How much of the money that they raise is going to have to just go to like NVIDIA and AMD as compute?
Well, I think I read that they needed to buy something like 20,000 of these things. Which is at 45 grand is 900 million.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So that's
great business model for NVIDIA.
Yeah.
So maybe after all of that, it is invest in NVIDIA.
Well, again, we spoke about this last week on the show, your returns as an investor is a function of the quality of the business that you invest in and how much they can grow and the price you pay for that business. And that's the question with NVIDIA.
Now, we'd love to hear your input on any companies that you think could also benefit from large volumes of proprietary data. Join the Equity Mates community on Facebook, Equity Mates discussion group, and share it with the community. We'd love to hear your thoughts and let's go on this journey together.
Let's uncover some gems.
Yes. Now, we're going to continue, as we said at the top, with my AI data-driven introductions over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned, Ren. I'm going to surprise you every time. But we'll leave it there and pick it up next week.
Ahoy, me hearty.
You have been listening to an Equity Mates Media production. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. This podcast is intended for education and entertainment purposes. Any advice is general advice only and has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, needs or objectives. Before acting on general advice, you should consider if it is relevant to your needs and read the relevant product disclosure statement. And if you're unsure, please speak to a financial professional. The hosts of this podcast and their guests may have positions in the companies mentioned. Equity Mates Media operates under an Australian Financial Services Licence 540697.